And we're live. Welcome back to LOOPCast.
Whoa.
Welcome back to LOOPCast. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Happy Friday. Hope you guys are staying safe if you're in Florida. I'm seeing some pretty crazy footage from Hurricane Helene, but as a former Florida man myself, I've weathered a storm or two, and this one looks pretty gnarly. I saw some footage from Tampa that was crazy. So prayers up for everyone there. Hope you're hunkered down. We're live across a lot of different platforms right now. Thank you for joining. If you're joining from Instagram, we're up on Rumble today. So promises kept, promises delivered. For Rumble, I've had some people ask for that, which is great. Seeing everyone live in the chat. Thank you guys for joining. We do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And something that I'm really trying to establish on Fridays are FAQ Fridays. And someone jumped the gun. They actually went FAQ Tuesday. So a little backstory to this one. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at tpogasic. And I thought, this was a strange tweet from a news organization. The Associated Press tweeted, drag queen Patty Gonia wants to use her skill of drag to inspire people to talk about climate change. Now, naturally, I said, if you set aside that they are supposed to be a news organization, the AP truly is one of the funniest accounts on X. And someone found me. I got nothing. The Real Panic FC. Just thank you for the Loop Pod. Never catch it live, but always listen. Question, New Haven pizza versus Detroit style, which is better? There is a wrong answer. And he said, it is for the pod tomorrow. Also ask Erica, which is her favorite New Haven pizza. Also, would Kamala eat pineapple on pizza? I think we all know the answer to that one. So first, to address all those clamoring, aka one person on this Twitter post, I do think New Haven style pizza is better.
Yes.
I'm not going to even put up a huge fight. I like Detroit style pizza, don't get me wrong. Jets Pizza, my dad actually grew up across the street from the original Jets Pizza. If you guys have had it, you know what I'm talking about.
It's very good.
It's pretty awesome. Like sometimes it hits the spot, but I'd say overall, New Haven Pizza, that's what I would have more regularly. Let's put it that way.
Okay. All right. Now hold on. My good friend, the late Andrew Walther, brought me to a place in New Haven to get, he's like, you got to try it. New Haven Pizza. It's where they invented it. And I tried it. And I'm here to tell you, it is horrible. It is absolutely
heresy.
Nasty.
Shut off his mic.
At once burnt and soggy and terrible. I will never eat it ever again. New Haven pizza is the worst pizza in the United States of America. I would rather have pineapple than New Haven pizza. It's the worst. Now, I will say this. People think that Chicago-style pizza is that big, thick stuff you get at Uno's. That's not what Chicago-style pizza is.
Wait,
if you get real Chicago-style pizza, it's not super thick like this stuff.
Yeah, it is. What are you talking about?
No, it's not. Yeah, that is not true. You don't know what you're talking about. That's what this is.
Clearly, I guess.
You go to real pizzeria places in Chicago, like I have been to, and it is wonderful. It's like thin-ish pizza.
What are you talking about? That would not be considered deep dish
no.
Chicago-style pizza.
Just give me this stuff with the... Okay. Pizzeria Uno is some chain, and they make this big, thick stuff. I don't mind it. It's fine, but it's not Chicago-style pizza. Go to a real Italian pizzeria in Chicago, and you will find out they have different style pizza, and it's great. It's better.
Josh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Look, Peggy's in the chat. Deep dishes for tourists. I know what I'm talking about.
Stop galvanizing the chat. Josh, we're talking about like Lou Malnati's. What are some of the other ones? I always thought it was Illuminati's for a while, but then I went and it's Lou Malnati's. So chat's got to help me out here. There's a couple other
Tavern style. That's right.
Truly historic Chicago style pizza. You think deep dish Chicago? It's like a pie. But okay, wait, we're off the subject anyway.
Just as long as we understand, it's just New Haven is the worst. That's all that. That's what the takeaway from this is.
You had one bad experience.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to wait. Now give Erica her piece because you throw out some serious charges.
I don't think you should judge New Haven pizza based on your soggy. Like, what were you? You weren't even married. You had no money. You're broke. You gotta get the really good stuff. The best New Haven pizza is Pepe's.
They said this place in town is known in New Haven for being the very best pizza. And it was terrible.
Wait, which one's the best? Which one's the best?
I don't remember. It was 15, 20 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago. It was terrible.
Let's get Eric on record. Which one's the best?
Pepe's. Pepe's is the best. Absolutely. Modern pizza, very good. Close second, but Pepe's is the best. It is worth standing in line for an hour to get a slice of that.
I also love that you just threw the grenade of calling Josh broke. It's almost like we've gotten into a bit of a diss track.
Well, 20 years ago I was broke, but you save your money up and you buy pizza, and then it's this bad. It's like, well, this is total trash. Like, no wonder my ancestors left New England. This is terrible.
I was going to say, and here comes Don Piggy. Exactly, I think the real answer,
people, so I don't know.
The real answer is New York style.
I do like New York style pizza.
New York style pizza, I think it's probably
copying New Haven. Like that's all it is. They like drove up to New Haven and they brought the recipe down.
I think we can improve upon
original.
this, and they did. They did.
Yeah, I mean, we got plenty to say about New York City today.
Okay, before we do that, I want to real quick. Hey, we had a lot of people that have been joining us in prayer for the St. Michael Novena, and that's kind of awesome.
Amen.
And then, there's a big devotion to the archangels, and especially St. Michael up where I live. We have the Archangel Grotto up. That's where I live, actually, by the way. And then the high school here is named after St. Michael, and so they're doing their big festival. So if you hear a bunch of high schoolers screaming, that'll be because they're here. They're all partying. So,
like next door.
Like literally
next room.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, man.
Well, I did actually want to start before we get into the Eric Adams stuff, which is juicy and I cannot wait to talk about. We actually had an FBI whistleblower testify. I believe this is in front of the Oversight Committee. And I'll be the first to say, if you have not checked out Kyle Seraphin, he's one of these whistleblowers mentioned in the 4, but this was a different one. And I've had a few people send it to me, and I think it's just in general kind of a good reminder. Just submitting this into the official record is pretty awesome. So I'm going to share my screen here. Please get Patagonia off my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay. We got the FBI whistleblower testimony.
The minority party.
I would just say that
The rest of my time, Mr. Jordan.
yes, sir. I would just say that I consider the hearing today my last act of service as a public servant for the United States of America. And I'll give you my professional opinion. I was an intel professional for our country for many years, and I would give recommendations, and I'd also look at indications and warnings. So I would offer this to the American people as my warning to them. Since this is a warning to the American people, I say, I personally have no confidence that the FBI will rein in its own conduct. I've been persecuted along with Garrett, Steve and Kyle, and countless other whistleblowers. It is my opinion that the Bureau used reprisal and fear to control the workforce. It has been a seemingly effective tactic. I personally believe that there are no current effective checks and balances against them conducting lawless action with any type of correction in a legitimate time frame. I welcome the work of the IG, but I think any type of lawless action, there's no legitimate time frame to rein them back in. Their ability to overclassify information can allow them to stonewall forever. To the American people, you have a duty as a citizen to vote, and I strongly urge you to do so. It's how you participate in the American experience. I know people have doubts about election integrity, but you must vote. It is your claim. Stake your claim and don't forfeit it willingly. Have your voice heard. My other recommendations are in the natural order. First, vote. The second is the Second Amendment. Arm yourself and know how to defend yourself. Make 3 to 4 friends in your neighborhood and promise to come to each other's mutual aid in times of hardship. And during the Great Depression, people stocked up a pantry. So I think that's a good practice, especially in our economic times, and make sure you have 3 to 4 months of food. And as a person of faith, I'd say pray the rosary, go to the First Friday devotions. That's for everybody, all my brothers and sisters of all faiths, and I know I'm Catholic, and read the gospel of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and live it every day. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for the time.
I love that guy. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Last act of public service. Nailed it. Pretty chilling, though.
Great reminder. Everyone go pray a rosary. And I'll always say anytime there's any FBI, law enforcement, any type of Fed, anything, I always go to Kyle Seraphin. He's got a great live show. Go check that out. He's incredible. He personally was the whistleblower for the Richmond memo that targeted traditionalist Catholics. He's got this stuff down pat. But that was something I had to share, just a chilling last moment to put it in. And I think, too, this goes into the Eric Adams stuff, right? Because we're going to talk about what we see I'll lay down some facts of what was a part of this historic indictment. He is the first New York City mayor, sitting mayor, to be indicted by the feds. And the feds came and they unsealed the indictment now. So yesterday, they officially released what he was being charged with. And I'll go through some basics here, hopefully that it helps. So 2 main charges, and they all involve the Turks. So 1, he accepted lavish gifts from Turkey in exchange for influence. The gifts that were mentioned actually were like flight upgrades, which I was like, okay, this feels a little flimsy. Flight upgrades, and then also lavish hotels, I think in totaling $100,000. But where you really start getting the meat of the indictment is these straw donations. So a basic summary of what happened was people in Turkey or foreign sources donated money to the Eric Adams campaign in New York City, gave it to Americans, and those Americans submitted it, trying to make it look like they were American donations. And what happens in New York City and other places around the country is there's public match campaigns to supposedly allow everyday people to be able to run for mayor because it's very expensive. So what was contributed from foreign sources was actually matched by New York taxpayers, and that total is around $100 million. So now we're talking big money. That's like 300 Biden paintings. So that's a lot of money. And that's what.
How many gold bars is it? Got Gold Bar Bob there?
I was going to say, the funny thing is, basically you need to have gold bars in order to get indicted by the feds, because we'll go into a little bit of hypocrisy here. But I think there's a couple funny moments. I was skimming the document of the indictment. There was one point, because he was being probed by the feds already. We already knew this. He sat down and he's like, I can't remember my phone code, so you can't see this. Convenient.
Yeah, classic.
There was a member of his
Have
staff.
you tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Exactly. So there was a member of his staff mid-probe, got up, left the room, and deleted messages from their phone, which they know about. There's texts between New York City officials and Turkey basically saying, hey, shouldn't we make this look like a reasonable spend on this flight? And they're like, just put $50. It'll be fine. His name won't be on it anyway. They have all these texts, right? It doesn't look great. Eric Adams has a 28% approval rating in New York City, deeply unpopular. He also had one of the funniest videos I've ever seen of him going through a sample house and looking for drugs and guns and stuff like that. The real ones know what video I'm talking about. It is hysterical. I laugh every time. Regardless, he's remaining defiant right now, and he's making claims that it's because of his change of heart on immigration is why the feds are knocking on his door right now. And a lot of people join him in that sentiment. He has all of a sudden seemingly saying, hey, we're overrun. I'm standing up for the New Yorkers now. And of course, this is after using taxpayer funds to pay for hotels for them.
Right.
But he's saying that's the real reason for this. I'm not stepping down. I'm going to have to be removed. I'm not going to resign. He wants a speedy trial, yada, yada, yada. Now, I think the main point, before we get into a little bit of hypocrisy here, came from Jesse Kelly, who has many of these good points. But I'll share the tweet here, and I think this is the main takeaway before we get into a little bit of our takes on it. So I'm going to share this tab. The DOJ has so destroyed the trust of the American people that they can indict the Democrat mayor of Democrat-run New York, and most of us are all, yeah, this is all revenge for something. Wonder what the real story is.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
That was
That's
my
an
first thought, Jesse.
Exactly,
Yep.
right? Could you
Yeah.
imagine this kind of reaction 10 years ago?
Oh my gosh, it would all sound like kooks.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's like, this is a mainstream take. Really, I've seen mainstream people say, well, why haven't they gone after de Blasio after he misplaced $850 million of COVID relief? Why haven't they gone after Kathy Hochul? Why haven't they gone after people? They have Chinese spies that she hired. They haven't gone after her federally. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of a reasonable. It's crazy we're here, but this is where we're at.
Yeah, my
It's
first
your
thought.
government.
Right. My first thought seeing it was that this is like he stood up and he said, hey, immigration is not working, Joe Biden. And that's why they nailed him. That was just my first assumption. I
Yep.
mean, my other assumption was, yeah, he actually did all these bad things. So like, I find that eminently believable because I'm cynical about.
And he would have got away with it until he opened his mouth on immigration.
Exactly. They would have just looked the other way because that's what they do. It's in the same city too as the crazy Donald Trump trial where 34 counts of felonies that they made up in order to go after him. And so at this point, trust in the Department of Justice is just so low. It's really not good, not great for the country to be here.
Not good, Bob. Not good.
Not good, Bob.
Yeah, and I guess I think back to, is this just where we should be now? Should we have always kind of mistrusted the Department of Justice?
I mean, the fact of the matter is, the FBI, the Department of Justice have been, running off of decades of goodwill amongst the American people. I mean, they go after mobsters, they go after pornographers, they go after people, who are committing bank fraud and that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then okay, now we're going to go after, traditionalist Catholics, and we're going to go after any, political figure that dares to challenge the administration. Like, okay, yeah, that's where you lost me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I mean, and I think it's meant to send a very effective message to any other Democrat mayor that, look, if you question the regime, we will do this to you. I mean, they raided his home at 6 a.m. He's in his pajamas. It was humiliating. The whole thing is meant to humiliate him and to chill any kind of resistance from anyone else. And I think it's going to work because these people, they love money, they love power, they love their life, and they're like, oh, they can destroy me in 24 hours. And that's the message.
There's two levels to this too, because there's a New York level and then there's a larger federal level. And on a New York level, I'm not making it up. Bill de Blasio, former mayor, said that his wife misplaced, I'm not exaggerating, $850 million of COVID relief, specifically in regards to a mental health project. So there's been no probe on that. Obviously, Governor Andrew Cuomo said he's resigned over a sexual scandal in which he used his brother to try to cover up from that. That's not even...
Well, and their COVID czar, Jay Varma, was just he was having orgies during COVID.
Right, and he also threw everyone in nursing homes, basically killing all these old people, and then tried to cover that up as well. So there's all these New York problems in which, okay, if the Department of Justice wants to get in the business of throwing corrupt politicians in jail, do we have enough jail? I don't know. So there's that. But then there's also, if you go to the federal level, and I'm thinking back to this, why do people distrust the Department of Justice so much? So we have Hillary Clinton paying for the Steele dossier, filled with Russian propaganda, started the Russia hoax. There's no indictment on Hillary Clinton. We're not even talking about the emails thing yet. No indictment over that.
Oh, that's all they said is just the emails. She was using emails to sell her office. You dumb boy.
Okay, so that's only number one. We have Joe and Hunter Biden. We have the Ukraine Burisma scandal, using influence in exchange for cash and board position. We're not even talking about all the other millions of dollars that the Biden family as a whole has made off of selling foreign influence. There's no indictments on that. Democrats recently literally flew in Zelensky to Pennsylvania to comment on the American election.
Yeah,
on an airplane paid for by the taxpayers to a swing state. We have no indictment on that. We have, and then the most recent, which I saw there's a lot of debate about on Twitter. So there's the J.D. Vance dossier, which was, I believe, Trump team's research into his potential surface areas for attack. So that was hacked by the Iranians, and now Iran. There's no indictment of that. The Biden campaign received this dossier from Iran. We don't have anything about that. And there's debate on Twitter because Ken Klippenstein, who's a Democrat activist, tried to post it, and it included most of J.D. Vance's social security number, plenty of addresses that belong to him. And they're saying, well, this is just as big as the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Can you imagine?
Do you want to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop story? The one where there was foreign influence to...
I just want to stop for a sec. Can you imagine, though, the disappointment, the Harris Biden campaign, they get the dossier on J.D. Vance. They're like, this is the worst stuff they could find on this guy. And they open it up and they're like, the worst thing was, I don't know, he's just so freaking wholesome. And they're like, where's the bad stuff? He had one beer too many in college once.
Yeah, I like beer. And actually, I know that Tony, shout out Tony, I know he actually was in intelligence, and I see him in the chat here. I'd be curious your perspective on how the FBI got to where they are. I know he's saying that there's plenty of good people in there. I believe him, right? Yeah. But you see people like Kyle Seraphin, you see people like Marcus Allen, who just said that testimony before, basically saying we're beyond the point of return. And it feels like we are. So this also goes into the Kamala Harris thing, how she just really feels like kind of a shapeshifter, mouthpiece of a larger censorship regime. We don't really know anything about her, and she's kind of bragging about that fact. And this feels like she's kind of being put up by these kind of people. And the biggest immediate damage is we don't trust our institutions. And as Americans, we need to trust our institutions. Isn't it? It's a part of the communist playbook is to destroy people's trust in institutions as well. I think there's something specifically in the manifesto about that. And I'm sorry I don't have that on hand.
That's obviously true. Right, exactly.
And then the other thing that I was looking into too, I was like, Tim Walz is pretty cozy with China, and he's taken plenty of...
Wait, you're talking about Timu Walz?
Yeah, Timu Walz. So I was looking into the specific Eric Adams indictment, which I'll share it. There's a page in it where they do these free upgrade to business class for 2 on round trip to New York to India, and then they put in monetary value next to it. I was like, all right, we're really going to go after him over flight upgrades? Like, I'm sure all politicians do this. And I was like, wait, Tim Walz has visited China 30 times.
Yeah.
And in Minnesota, he's welcomed.
I don't think he flew economy.
No. And then also we have the Chinese Communist Party bringing in Confucius Institutes into Minnesota under his watch.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, has anyone looked into this? I mean, he could potentially be the vice president in the United States. And I did a little bit more digging. It turns out
vice president.
They did, but the FBI is withholding this information from Chairman James Comer. So...
Oh my gosh.
It's almost like, what are we doing here? Like, you could go down this pit and never stop.
Well, and I think to your point, Pogo, like this is a very bad place to be because we should have institutions that we can trust. So something like the FBI, right now there is so much child trafficking going on at our border. The Daily Wire covered it this morning on Morning Wire. And you think about these they think it's hundreds of thousands of children who are just being recycled by these cartels and like put in these holding cells. And then the people in charge of the holding cells give them to the unknown adults and pass them back. That's exactly the kind of thing that we should be using federal law enforcement to combat. These children need rescuing. They need to be helped. But instead, we have this institution that it's so corrupt and it's been weaponized against anyone who questions the regime. So not only are they too busy to actually do the good that they could be doing, but now you have people calling for the complete dismantlement of the Department of Justice because they're so understandably angry with what it's become. And that is a detriment to American society. It's a detriment to these children who need this kind of help.
Would you like to know the craziest part about this whole story? And I've talked about some crazy things.
Yes, I would.
New York could turn Cuomo sexual again.
So
who wrote that headline?
Come on.
Oh my gosh. I think Stephen Harriet wrote that headline.
Andrew Cuomo has already pledged he was going to run anyway, post Eric Adams. Right. And now if he steps down or gets removed, he for sure will be running in a crazy primary. And I mean, how funny is the term Cuomo-sexual after he stepped down because of sexual assault is just chef's kiss. But man, what is going on in New York City?
Come on, New York.
A lot of problems.
But that was my favorite part about all of it was that headline in particular. Okay, so we got to move on now. Let's keep it interesting. So speaking of, we're going to go Catholic here. We have Our Lady's University, Notre Dame, the Domers. So what caught my eye and actually caught a lot of people's eye here is
Aren't they the Ave Maria of the North?
Yeah, they're the Ave Maria of the Midwest, as they're known. Yeah. Maybe I should make a banner for that, and I could play that every time that comes up. It's becoming a shtick. So if you check out what's going on over at Notre Dame, we get an interesting poll. So yes, this is the Irish Rover. This is their conservative paper at campus. So Notre Dame students favor Trump. Irish Rover poll finds. Now, when I saw this, I knew that the Rover was conservative. I actually spoken to their former editor before, who I think is joining the seminary, which is pretty awesome. But anyway, I was like, okay, is this legit? So I looked into a little bit of the poll. Here you go. We have Trump at 48% of students, Harris at 46% of students, and you get 6%. The question is, if the 2024 presidential election were held today, who would you vote for if the candidates were Kamala Harris and Donald Trump? So I looked into the methods of the survey, and just a quick gist. They surveyed 705 likely student voters between September 15th and September 18th. The survey was sent to a variety of student dorms, nonpartisan clubs, and distributed in classes. Results were weighted to ensure representative sample of the Notre Dame student body. The poll has a margin of error at 3.8% and a 95% confidence level for results found here. Now, I actually thought, okay, so this isn't just a straw poll. This isn't them just walking around. What's so shocking about this, though, is that previous polling showed this is the first time that we actually have a Republican being favored in a poll at Notre Dame in 12 years.
Yeah.
So there's something going on at Notre
The
Dame.
tides be turning.
Yeah.
I love that poll. I love that poll even more than the pizza poll we just put in YouTube. It showed New Haven Pizza getting 0 votes.
That's because nobody here is from the Northeast. Like, is anyone else from New England? Anyone in the chat? Like,
All right. Move on to the Rover poll.
Abandoned the
Never
region of
experienced.
terrible pizza and communist
my goodness.
policies.
Okay. We got to talk Rover poll, though, Josh.
Yeah,
Can't
Rover,
just talk
back
pizza.
to Rover. Stop
Was
raining on
this
my parade.
surprising to either of you?
Yeah, I was surprised because I think I have a 1990s estimation of what Notre Dame is and what the student body looks like, and it was a pleasant surprise. And especially like looking at, I don't know if we have the numbers here, but with Joe Biden, he was overwhelmingly the favorite at Notre Dame. I loved this stat too. So they also divided up the respondents to the poll into self-described Catholics, who are about 80% of Notre Dame's student body, and then students of a different religion. And when you narrow it down to the Catholic students at Notre Dame, it's actually a much bigger margin. Trump is at 56, Harris at 36. So yeah, a huge swing. More conservative for sure, more populist probably, and yeah, I really wish I could just go there and start talking to students because I'd love to interview them.
And the numbers you're talking about here in 2020, Joe Biden had the support of 66% of Notre Dame students, and Trump got just 29%. And then in 2016, Hillary Clinton beat Trump in a similar poll by a margin of 59% to 24%. So this is a pretty big swing. No question.
Massive.
I tell you, these college kids today, they're going to change the world. They're going to rescue us. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah, other interesting points on this poll too. So the poll's results are not the first indication of a rightward shift on Notre Dame's campus. A political identification survey conducted by Notre Dame Marriage Pact found a 15% decline in the share of students identifying as Democrats, liberals, or socialists from spring 2021 to fall 2023. In the same period, the number of students identifying as Republican, Libertarian, or Conservative increased by 17%. We also get a drill down into Catholics, who make up about 80% of Notre Dame's total student body, said they supported Trump by a margin of 56. Oh, you did? Okay, good. And then the last one, sorry, I just got to get all these out of the hopper.
You got to get them out. Go
Rover's
for it.
also surveyed students on which political issue they believe to be the most important to their vote. On this question, 28% of students indicated they viewed the economy as their top issue, while 26% said abortion, 14% democracy, 7% foreign policy, 6% immigration, 6% climate change, 4% gun policy, 3% LGBT issues, 2% education, 2% healthcare, 1% crime, and 1% race relations. Now, what I thought was interesting about that one, at a Catholic university, the economy was over abortion. And if we break that out into a larger view, I think that might be surprising to some, but it's not totally surprising, I guess, to the larger country.
Well, these kids are going to have to try to get a job in the next few years, and they look at what Biden, Kamala did to destroy everything. They're wondering if they're going to even have a chance to get anything going on.
Right. So it makes me think we've even underestimated how much the dominance of Trump on economy and the dissatisfaction of Biden-Harris on the economy will impact this election. Maybe I get caught up in the abortion headlines, but yeah. Very interesting. I do like that that seems like there's more representation of the actual country within Notre Dame. I would like to see that trend continue, because college campuses as a whole really should be that, right? It should be more representative, especially at the faculty level, but at the student level, I think it's just nothing but positives come from that.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I would also say a university, it's all right if a university they want their student body to reflect their mission as well. So, I think of college not so much as a time to enter all of American society writ large. And maybe I'm not understanding what you said, but I think it is perfectly normal for universities to have their own character in terms of the student body makeup. We don't all have to be. I do think that public universities ought to be more representative of the general population. But I think private schools who want to form or shape students in a particular way, in a particular way of thinking, it's all right if the student body is representative of that. I don't think it's against education to do that.
Okay, so with regards to Notre Dame, every time I think of Notre Dame, I can't help but think about not only obviously them inviting Obama, which really torqued me, but also that they fought against the pernicious HHS mandate, which forced Catholic employers to cover contraception, abortion, and sterilization. They fought against it to say this is a violation of our religious liberty. They actually won in federal court. This is the dog that finally caught the car. I don't think they actually meant to do it. They didn't actually mean to win. They didn't even plan on it. Like, oh no, what do we do now? We won. And as soon as they won, they're like, and they just went ahead and provided contraception in their healthcare plan anyway. So it was all just a ruse to snooker and to fool the old people who still donate money to Notre Dame, thinking it's just as cool as it once was. That's why they have the Latin Mass. People are like, wow, I was surprised. As soon as Benedict went forward with Latin Mass, they offered it. Yeah, because they want to try to convince all these grandpas that Notre Dame's still conservative. And so wouldn't it be a fitting thing if God decides to do a little retribution to Notre Dame for playing this like little, this cat and mouse game and just saying, oh, really? Well, maybe I'll just send a bunch of conservatives to your school and turn things around. It would be a just punishment.
The deplorables. Yeah, actually, kind of off topic, but I don't know what is going on with Mark Cuban. Not that I ever thought he was the smartest guy of all time, but
he's going
is
crazy,
insufferable. I think he's getting paid by the Harris campaign. It's my only thought.
He wants a cabinet position.
Why would he have to get paid? He's a billionaire.
He's auditioning for the cabinet.
He believes it.
Yeah, but there's other billionaires that are.
Well, actually, Erica's got a point. Maybe he's going for cabinet.
I think he is. He said he might want to be the SEC chairman or something, but he went on Theo Von's show, and it's important that I view everything he says through the lens of, and he even admitted on the show, being a troll. Like, he is a fantastic troll. If you look at him on Twitter, he knows how to do it. He was confronted pretty reasonably on his DEI stances, and he just circular logic, loopholes, yada, yada. But the Theo Von...
Why aren't there any white people in the Dallas Mavericks?
Right. The Theo Von interview was a masterclass, I think, because it was friendly and that Theo Von kind of loosens people up to him being able to make points properly, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about why he's convinced that media now is run by conservatives. So all the biggest voices are conservatives. All the institutions are now conservative, whatever, which is a really insane take. I understand. But he says, well,
that's always my favorite hot take. Yeah. MSNBC is like, all these outlets are so right wing.
Yeah, right.
But Theo basically was saying, like, he was trying to articulate why someone should. Well, first off, he made fun of him for the fact that Kamala is not doing interviews and won't go on his show. Mm-hmm. He's like, because I feel like I want to get to know her. It's like the best clip of the whole thing was him saying, oh, no, she's cool. She's chill. She likes to laugh. Almost kind of embarrassed. Like, you're on here shilling for her instead of the candidate themselves, which is insane, especially after Trump came on. But he did bring up how in 2016, he said he felt like, I know you're saying this about media and institutions, but it felt like Christians and conservatives were always the brunt of the joke. Like the late night hoax were folks, they only felt comfortable bashing on poor white people in the middle of the country and making them the punchline. And then even Cuban himself was like, yeah, like Hillary Clinton saying the basket of deplorables thing, that was messed up and that's where she went wrong. Kamala's about joy though, so she doesn't believe that, which, okay, sure. Take that to the bank.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Just don't remember the Knights of Columbus and try to get on the federal bench.
Exactly.
Right.
I know, but yeah, that whole thing was just unbelievable. And speaking of MSNBC, we get the long-awaited interview from the interview.
She did it.
The interviewer from MSNBC, Stephanie Ruhle.
Here comes the softball.
The person who was saying that she didn't even have to do interviews ended up in an interview chair with her somehow. But I'm going to share my favorite clip. I'm sure people will
She'll spoon feed questions to me. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, this is my favorite part.
And assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars. And looking holistically at the connection between that and housing. And looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner That includes prioritizing affordable housing and assistance to state and local.
Word of the day
Yeah,
is holistic.
This is
she's
100%.
got a word of the day calendar, and that was obviously on there today.
I
The
think
other
you guys are
one
too
is-
old for this, but Canva posts, like when I was in college, it used to be an assignment in college. You had to go comment on someone else's Canva post. And this was the equivalent of if one of those Canva posts for a grade came to life. You Google one smart word, you say it a few times, and you give people props. It's like a Sonic.
I got to give you credit for finding an analogy that was just not that good.
Thank you.
Takes a lot of credit. But
Look, Josh,
like,
I know you're
think
pretty
of
old.
something
Generational
like,
thing.
it's
Canva
like in
post?
fifth grade when the teacher asks you to give a review of the book and you obviously didn't read it. I mean, just because 100% of people would understand that, we shouldn't try to go to that.
No,
We
I
should
think
bring
it's
up
more
Canva.
like
What the hell are you talking
no, it's
about?
more like a freshman English essay, and you used a thesaurus, and you just said, "I need a fancy word for impossible," and you like go in and you use all the fancy words, and the professor just dings you like ding, 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 ding. The other one she did was she had. I think she repeated at least 6 times in a row in one answer the dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, because we have dreams and ambitions and aspirations, and we have them, and Americans have these dreams and these ambitions, and I aspire to these aspirations. And she just kept going and going. I love the clip. So afterwards, I don't know if you can pull this one up, Pogo, right after holistically there, Stephanie Rule goes on. And
Oh,
she
yeah,
does an
I got
interview. This is awesome. This is when
Work,
asked how
and
she
one
thought it went. This is how Stephanie thought it went.
Yeah, that's how the interviewer thought it went.
work, and one could watch that and say, well, she didn't give a clear, direct answer. That's okay, because we're not talking about clear or direct issues.
This is journalism.
The question about inflation and prices. This to me is one of the most frustrating aspects of this campaign. The thing that people are 100% correctly
Sorry, yeah, that was
Yeah. No, this was like, she's like,
tough.
no, she didn't give any good answers. I know. And that's fine. I'm still voting for her. The most difficult question I think she asked was, can the American people trust you? And Kamala goes, yes. And then they just moved on. It was like, wow, I learned so much.
That's not even the McDonald's and fries one. Did you see that? Like,
Oh,
did
man.
you do the 2 pickles special sauce, 2 burger patties? Where I was like, I did fries too. Ha ha ha. And they all giggled. Yeah, I guess
She didn't work at McDonald's, did she?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with these interviews.
Don't believe it.
I'm almost annoyed now. Okay, so Republicans, of course, are like, hey, she does no interviews. This is terrible. She should do interviews. And everyone's kind of like, yeah, we all agree with that. But then she does an interview like this with the friendliest of audiences, and she's terrible. And then everyone makes fun of said interviews. So almost at this point, where are we going to go? How many more bad interviews? She didn't say anything new here. She didn't reveal any new policy.
No.
She didn't change people's opinion on whether or not she's good at being interviewed. She's terrible. So almost, am I on her side? She should stop doing interviews. There's no gain to her doing them.
I mean, that's pretty much what they're doing, is not doing any interviews. I mean, this is only the second one since she's been the effective nominee.
And it's not even a real interview. Like, that was not an interview for the job.
It's like the Biden interviews. Like, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh my gosh, Biden stuff. He's still the president.
Yeah, even the New York Times roasted this interview. The next day there was an op-ed just saying like this was infantile. It was terrible. They totally reamed it. Even the New York Times turned against, which is probably why Mark Cuban thinks the New York Times is far right wing now, because they criticized
she's like
Stephanie.
She's dumber than a bag of hair. She's giving like these nothing answers that just like it's like you have half the country that's literally about to vote for this person to become president of the United States, and she's dumber than a bag of hair. I mean,
Josh, can I challenge you on the Mark Cuban assertion? Let's give him the most charitable. I know he's a troll, but like, let's just do this. Mainstream media now is dominated by right-wing figures. You have Elon Musk Twitter. You have the Tucker Carlson show. I guess Joe Rogan considered far right. Like all of the personalities that come to mind. Like his whole thing was, can you name an influential media figure on the left? He's like, Rachel Maddow, maybe. I don't know. So like, does he have a point?
No. There's like they don't have one big figure. Like on the right, you have to kind of mobilize around a person. Like they have to build their own network or whatever, like a Tucker or a Rogan or whatever. But like MSNBC, they've got a whole farm team. Like one guy decides to quit and run for office, they've got another one. I mean, like, what are you talking about? Like the whole network, CNN, ABC, CBS. I mean, all of them. Like whatever that. I don't even, David, was it David Muir or whatever, the communist during the debate? I mean, like, you're telling me that he's just another Ken doll. Like, it just set him aside and bring in another one and ask just as much, liberal-based questions. I mean, just because he's not a huge figure, he may break.
I guess the rise of the big figures.
You know what it is, Tom? Actually, here's what it is. Here's how you know the answer is true. Would the left and the right agree to a trade? Okay. You give us ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post,
Disney,
and Disney, ESPN, and then you can have, the Joe Rogan
Daily
show,
Wire,
and you can have Daily Wire and Tucker Carlson, and maybe we'll even throw the Loop in there for a good measure if I get to control MSNBC.
No.
So
no
I
deal.
mean, like the idea, like, it's obviously so lopsided as to be a foolish thing to even consider.
I mean, I like to think we're big, but there would be no deal. That's not it.
Dude, think about how sick it would be to all of a sudden the Loopcast tomorrow gets to be on an ABC set or something like that. Like we get all of your assets. We're going to be huge.
And Jesse Kelly is running CNN. I mean, just imagine that, dude. It'd be great.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
I think that is like Rachel Maddow's worst nightmare. She wakes up in the middle of the night and is like, my boss is Jesse Kelly.
All right.
No, and Rachel Maddow is just a podcaster on YouTube. Like, sink or swim, girl. See how you do.
Not going to happen.
Have you seen old pictures of Rachel Maddow, by the way?
Yeah.
She looks completely different now. Yeah. It is crazy what these careers do to people.
Now she looks like an android.
Yeah, I know. Tucker looks about the same, though. Still big on bow ties. Okay, so it's FAQ Friday. For everyone on the chat, multiple locations here now. Hopefully we can coalesce them.
I saw someone from Connecticut. Shout out.
If you have quick,
what happened? Connecticut still got 0% in the poll on the pizza.
Josh, just let it go.
Josh is really hanging on to that one. I see we struck a nerve.
Maybe
we do a pizza related question to start every show now. Okay, but if you have questions, leave them in the chat. I have someone collecting them for me so we can get them. But we do have some that have been submitted beforehand. So, and hopefully we have good answers. Tom, I am very surprised to hear on Greg Gutfield's show that evangelicals and gun owners had a low voter turnout. Can you, Erica, and Josh talk about this? Love the show. Wish I could watch it live. Podcast listener, Pam. Josh, any thoughts?
It's just like Catholics.
Yeah.
There are 25% of Catholics who go to Mass on a regular basis. I'm not talking like the people who say they're Catholic and don't go anymore. Like that's like Sonia Sotomayor. I'm saying Catholics who actually go to church on a regular basis. And you find out, like, what? I mean, we found, was it like 70,000 in Arizona that go to Mass on a regular basis and they didn't vote? Like, how do you do that? Come on, guys, let's go. And so that's why I tell people, go to vote.gov, find your state, get on the absentee ballot if they have that. I'm getting my ballot, should be arriving this week in the mail, and I'm going to bring it right to the clerk and get my vote banked a month before the election. And here's the thing. It makes it so that campaigns, they're not even going to try to, they're like, this guy already voted. We're not going to waste your time. They're going to go on to somebody else. And so if you haven't voted, you're going to get that many more messages. So if you want to get less messages, vote early.
But Josh, is there a deep question? Is there like a deep reasoning why evangelicals and gun voters vote? Or is it more,
my point is
lazier? It's
just that 75% of Americans vote on a regular basis, but that means 25%. That's a lot. 1 in 4 don't vote on a regular basis or for presidential. So yes, that's why I tell people, and it's not like they never, ever, ever, ever vote. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's that they're like, oh gosh, I forgot, I got an appointment, bring my kid to the doctor and I just can't do it. That's why I'm saying vote early in person if you can. Vote by absentee and hand the ballot in. In Michigan, I can. It's awesome. They have a little thing where you can track your ballot to make sure, okay, they got it. Boom, it's counted. I love it.
Yeah, but to the point of the question, like it does seem like low voter turnout is more of a conservative problem than a Democrat or like super lib problem. And I think the question is like, why is that? Why do conservatives, like Catholics who go to Mass, people who own guns, evangelicals, although there's now that massively progressive evangelicals as well as progressive Catholics, but it seems like they don't make it to the polls as much. And I don't know, are their hearts in another world already or something? Is this an issue of, is this a religious problem? Is it a conservative problem? Why do we have such a hard time with voter enthusiasm for conservatives?
Well, I mean, again, it's like the left, they look at the state as their religion, okay? So that's
Mhm.
why they very much, and also it's their meal ticket for a lot of them, So like again, I would love to be able to try to focus attention on the left a little bit more. I mean, like you want to talk about white privilege, that's when you drop migrants off of Martha's Vineyard and 24 hours later they're shown the door.
Yeah.
That's white privilege. Give me a break. That doesn't happen
But
in
they
Springfield.
changed their lives for the brief
Yeah.
moment.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we love you. That's so
We
sweet. Get out
became
of
better
here.
people. Bye.
But the fact is, conservatives, like, we're busy, like, working for a living, like plumbers, electricians, and insurance salesmen, and all the different things that, people do. But you have to do this. Like, it's like, well, what will my one vote matter? If 10 million people say that, yes, it will then. I mean, everyone should vote. And first of all, as Catholics, the bishops have been very clear on this forever. They said voting is a moral obligation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it matters. Like, I don't want to ever hear from people say, well, I don't know, will my one vote make a difference? I don't know. No. Here's the deal. The United States of America is not just about rights. I am so glad we have the Bill of Rights, and we have it etched in there in our amendments that we have the right to free speech, the right to to freedom of religion, all that stuff. The right to bear arms. I love that we have so many rights that are spelled out in the Constitution. One of the rights is a right to a trial by your peers. You have it's not the government going to come after you. You are entitled. You have a right to be tried by your peers. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means when the government says, hey, we need you for jury duty, that means you need to step up to the plate, because the fact of the matter is, it's not just about rights, it's about duties too. And one of the duties you have to this country, to your fellow citizens, is to make sure you vote. I don't care if you vote for Mickey Mouse at the top of the ticket. You better vote. Get out there and vote. There's so many offices that matter. Get educated. Go to CatholicVote.org. Find out about the issues. Go to other websites to find out who are the people in your local area. It is too important. We cannot have hundreds of thousands of Catholics on the sidelines. We need pro-life Catholics who are going to Mass, going to the polls.
Mm-hmm.
I also had a thought, and take this for what you will. It feels like for most people that are conservative or Catholic, there's two things and evangelicals, I think, fall into this too. A lot of churches, unless they are very liberal, don't really say a lot in terms of voting. Like, they might kind of passively say, oh, maybe you should vote, or vote for lesser two evils, or they don't really give clear instructions. If I think of liberal evangelical organizations, they are very adamant about who you should support, your rights, that you can lose them, this and that. And I think for rural Americans as well, like, everyone laughed about Obama being a community organizer, and then he crushed in the election.
Yeah, it's effective.
I do think Democrats and people that aren't as religious and people that live in cities, everywhere they go, everything they turn on, everything they listen to is encouraging you to vote in a manner that is explicitly or not explicitly telling you to vote Democrat or vote liberal. Think about the entertainment sources, the clubs that they're a part of. It's everywhere in a city. But if you're out kind of living your life, especially if you're religious too, if you're not getting it from your religious institute and then you go back to your home, which is out there where you're not really, and the type of things you're consuming aren't really expressing a political belief, I just don't think there's as much encouragement really for
to participate,
those type of self-sustaining, more independent people. So, and I could see then to Josh's point, yeah, people just get busy and then they forget. Like, I get that. Mm-hmm. So if it's not in your ear all the time, I think it's just much more in the ear of people that are left-leaning and live in a city, live in a metropolitan life.
And I get it. There's some people who love to actually vote on election day in person, and I'm not going to, go against you on that. Like Jan in the chat, I'm with you. That's fine. I would just say that so long as you've never missed one, if you're, like a busy mom, you're 35 and you've got 3, 4 kids, like maybe absentee balloting is the key for you, or voting in person early in voting. But like if you're, hey, you're 50 plus and, it's your ritual and you want to do it on election day, I'm not going to fault you for that.
It
That's
is kind of
fine.
cool, right?
It is
It's a
kind of
ritual.
cool. Sure. I would just say if you do vote by absentee ballot or early in-person voting, you get that done, locked in as soon as you can. You do it is like an extra contribution to the candidates that you like and the organizations that support them, because they're not going to waste their time on you and they're going to go to somebody else. But in general, Catholic Vote, we haven't actually wasted our time on those. If you vote every time, you might not be seeing our stuff, because we're actually trying to get the low propensity voters out there and get them to vote more often. That's our focus and attention. So if you live in Michigan, Arizona, Wisconsin, some of these swing states, you're like, well, I haven't seen a Catholic Vote ad, because we're targeting those who are lower.
It's because you're
voters.
awesome already.
Yes, you're getting your emails. I don't want to waste my ad money on you.
Oh, so that actually, the next question, I think there's a lot to talk about in this. So next question was about seeing ads on Hulu. So love the show. I wanted to reach out because I've been seeing a lot of ads on Hulu for Democrats, almost entirely for Democrats, and the ones who are for Republicans have a negative tone. Additionally, Kamala's campaign came out with a BS ad about how Trump plans to implement Project 2025, ban abortions, ban contraceptions, several other lies. It's pathetic that their best method of campaigning is blatant lies and have already been debunked, and yet people believe them. Do you think the lack of positive Republican ads are due to media control, media targeting, or conservatives not utilizing the method as well as Democrats? Now, I have a few thoughts immediately before you get into it, Josh. Just so you know, everyone knows, organizations that run these ads have so much more information on you than you could possibly imagine. And they target people based on, they categorize them basically in hard R, which is hard Republican, light R, independent, lean D, and then hard D. And they, when they can, segment, and this doesn't always happen with Hulu, but sometimes even with Hulu, they can understand. If you fall into one of their categories, it makes more sense for their ad spend to target people. If you're Republican, to target people that lean D, are independent, they don't waste their time with hard D, and maybe lean R, and they spend their money. If you're already a reliable Republican voter, you most likely will not be seeing Republican advertising. Sometimes you see Democrats spending to try to convince you, which a lot of times is a waste of time or just bad targeting if they know you're a hard R and they want to flip you. But yeah, cannot imagine. Think about every app you have on your phone. They have basically almost every app has access to your geolocation, what you frequent, what you watch, what you listen to, and they make triangulations based on that. They're trying to efficiently spend their money the best. So if you're ever curious about why you see ads, it's because people know what you're up to and they have a projection on what your political leaning is, and they'll dedicate spend based on those things. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also, it's kind of echo your point. I mean, like, the app marketers and advertisers will look and see, okay, well, we know people who tend to watch Bravo are going to be liberal. And so if you want to try to make sure more liberals are getting out there to vote and vote yes on this proposal or vote for Kamala or whatever, so they're going to hammer that home. And so if you're somebody who kind of is a conservative, but you watch like shows that liberals watch, I'm not suggesting that's the case on some of these people in the chat. I'm just saying that then you might be like, well, this is kind of crazy. I'm getting a lot of liberal ads. I happen to live in a Traverse City media market, which is an area that used to be very Republican, and it's kind of softening a little bit. It's still going to vote Republican, but that's why, Kamala and all the people who support her are like, yes, we think we can turn up the vote here in this area. And so we watch these ads and it's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. We're getting so much. And my wife's like, why are we seeing so many of these ads? Like,
Your zip code.
And it's like, well, it's our zip code. It's that we're watching a TV show that is considered a liberal show, even though we're conservatives. It's like they're wasting their money. They're only going to make me more mad at you. So, yeah, I mean, there's some of that's just going on. But like in the, sometimes like Ohio's got a very important Senate race going on. And Bernie Moreno is the Republican challenger. He's been endorsed by Trump. He's trying to take out Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown is what we would call a communist. And he's been in there forever. He had the Democrat in the Ohio Senate race had the whole market, the entire media market, all through the winter and the spring and through the summer. But now the tables have flipped, and Republicans and conservatives are outspending the Democrat in that state 2-1. And that's made the polls go real close and tight. So we actually have a pretty good chance to see Sherrod Brown be defeated and a Republican to win that seat in Ohio. Again, the Republicans have 49 seats, and West Virginia is almost guaranteed to flip. So we just need one more state, like an Ohio or a Montana, and then you've got the Senate and Republican hands, and that would be huge. So, those are the things to look at. I mean, again, when it comes to by the way, Senate Democrats are so freaked out that they're losing Montana, that Ohio is in danger of losing, that they've decided to spend a ton of money on the Senate races in Texas and Florida, even though they know they're not going to win, because they've just got to convince their donors that they're trying. And so I really feel like the Democrats have effectively conceded that they're going to lose the Senate. Interesting.
Okay.
I'll see.
Take that for what you will. I only have time for one more. We'll go for a fun one. So we find out Erica's a bourbon gal. Is she also a cigar gal? If so, what is your guys' favorite cigar brands? I exclusively smoke Mayflowers and Ave Marias.
Oh, a Michael Knowles fan there, Odysseus.
Strong thoughts?
I have smoked one cigar in my entire life. It was at the Lamb and Flag in Oxford. I have no idea what it was. I was on study abroad, and it was like, you have to smoke a cigar when you're in Oxford at the pub with the guys drinking, warm beer or something.
The boys, yeah.
So that was it. That was my one. I don't know what it was. I don't smoke. I don't. It just. I can't. I don't find it very feminine, and it's gross. It's tasty.
I'm not a super fan, but I do remember going into a cigar bar in San Diego on December 12th, 2000, and the lady's like, "What are you celebrating?" I'm like, "Al Gore just got defeated. Time to light it up.
Give me a cigar."
And her friend was sitting there with her, just goes, "Oh, the world's biggest eye roll." So I enjoyed that stogie.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah,
I don't really smoke. But.
I'm a black and mild guy.
I like the smell, but I think it reminds me of my grandfather. That's the only reason. Yeah.
I know enough to make cigar people mad. I just say I'm a black and mild guy, and then they always get really mad. So
that's cool. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know
what
that means.
Cigar guy.
Okay.
It's a very cheap cigar.
Very cheap.
Wood tip.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, not a big cigar guy. All right, Twilight Zone. What we got? I see we have a butt first for Mercer again.
Little present for Mercer. Yeah.
Another present for Mercer. This is
in
becoming a regular
Luxembourg.
feature.
Yeah, little gift for Mercer here.
Nice.
This is Pope Francis went to Luxembourg, and Laudato Si, which you love to harp on, Mercer. It inspired something. It inspired
Isn't
art.
it C? Laudato Si.
And here we have for those of you who are on the audio, we have a deacon dressed as a Saint Francis doing some sort of ballet in front of the Pope.
It's like Franciscan Jedi exercise.
Surrounded by slightly post-adolescent girls, slightly overweight in white dresses. He's going to do a little pirouette here, little shoulder wiggle. And Pope Francis is kind of sitting there impassively. And I think that in the back of his mind, he's just saying, "Fraggiorrimento." There's too much faggotry.
Is this like the Catholic version? This is like the Catholic version of.
Whoa!
Hamilton,
There goes the
right?
leg, and then there's a little leg. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe we should just turn this up. This is
Yeah, Erica, why we do
family
this?
show. Yep, but just
Although it's better than when they had
in
the circus
Luxembourg.
performers.
Man,
the circus
farmer
performers
Pope
thing?
for a day.
when
Right.
your encyclical inspires something like that, maybe you need to retract it.
Maybe we should take Laudate Si and recycle it.
Yeah. Oh, that would be good for the
Throw it in
environment.
the Tiber. Okay, Josh, Twilight Zone.
Well, Snopes thought it was really funny and cute, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to fact check this. Get a load of this." Yes, it's actually true. J.D. Vance really did say that car seat rules have led to Americans having fewer children. Ha ha ha!
I did see
Isn't this
that.
hilarious?
That.
And everyone's like, "Yeah, because it does." Like, are you completely
Verified.
clueless? All these regulations that make it harder, and it's like, and so what was the study? It showed that there was 145,000 fewer births since 1980, with 90% of that decline coming in the 21st century.
Okay, can you give some
Because these
context
car
though? Give some context on the car seat.
Well, I mean, the idea is like, if you have,
Well-
they keep saying you have to have these car seats. I remember going through this with my wife. It's like, oh, now I'm not in the middle anymore. I'm on the far right. Look at that.
Look at you. You moved rightward.
Whoa, there I go.
I am mainstream.
The coffee.
But like it's the car seats. It's like it's hard to get. If you have a 5-passenger car, it's almost impossible to get 3 car seats.
3 car seats, right?
And in fact, it's hard to get 2 car seats and have someone in the middle. Like there's no room. And so like people are like, okay, do I get a minivan or do we just not have a 3rd kid? They make these decisions. Like you're an idiot if you think moms and dads don't think about this, especially since like, hospitals are like, yeah, okay, it looks like you get a car seat. Okay. No, they come out and go, sir, I don't know if you've done this right. I'm like, I live 8 miles away. My kid's not going to die. Shut up. And my wife's like, don't be like that. I'm a nurse. You're embarrassing me. I'm like, for the love of God, it's my kid. I care about my kid more than you do. Shut up. It's so stupid. And like my wife would be like, oh my gosh, these car seats rules. It says until they're 8. I'm like, my 8-year-old, this is a few years back. I mean, Robbie, he's 8 years, he's 140 pounds. He's a linebacker for crying out loud. He doesn't need this car seat anymore. I mean, he's the Hulk. What are you talking about? These government bureaucrats don't care. And by the way, let me get on to this other thing.
Oh boy.
They made, okay, so when you think about moms in the 60s and the 70s, right? You're thinking about the grocery getter, right? The station wagon. Our federal government made it illegal. Station wagons are illegal. You can't get them anymore.
The ones that
because
flip,
of
right?
car emissions. They made it. So what happens? People are like, I'll just get an SUV instead because SUVs are trucks. You see?
Right.
So what Donald Trump should do is say, station wagons are trucks, and let them come back on the market again, so people can actually afford
I'll buy
to do
one.
this.
They also used to just throw all their kids in the back of the station wagon before all the seatbelt laws.
Okay, but
I mean,
the
they used
layers,
to stack us kids like 2x4s back there, but now they're so panicky. Give me a break.
Josh, the layers to this specific story though is that JD Vance made a comment in context that car seat laws were a contributing factor to decreasing birth rate in America. And all the mainstream outlets cherry picked that and were like, look at this idiot, crazy person suggesting that car seat law is lowering the birth rate.
Right. What an idiot.
And he actually is citing a legitimate study that did prove that it was a contributing factor to lowering birth rates, making it more expensive and harder for having kids. That was And then I'm glad you added your context. Anger about the car seats, man. I only have one right now, and it's annoying enough. But yeah,
my wife. I mean, she I'm like, stop being Ralph Nader. You're driving me crazy with this stuff, with the safety stuff. And like, we're on the freeway and we're dead traffic. Nothing's moving, and the kid is screaming. I'm like, would you breastfeed the kid? She's like, I can't unbuckle him. Oh, we're going 0 miles an hour. You can breastfeed the kid. Come on.
Okay.
Gotta wrap.
We got into
more car seats and pizza are the big two of getting Josh going. Erica, you're
okay. I'm actually going to do something different. I'm going to pull out of the chat because this question was to me, and I think it's super important. Okay, this was Little Flower of Jesus 95. If you're still in there,
I know why you're pulling this out. By the way,
I'm not going to read that part of the comment because I'm not like Josh. I'm not like, oh, New Haven 0%. I'm not like that. But it did start off with Erica. You're the reason I listened. But I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to focus on that part.
It's obvious. It's
she writes in.
Yeah.
She also said, I like both Pogo and Josh, but I appreciate your insight. That was also another thing she said. But what I want to focus on is my question is, as a mother of children who will be growing up in a declining nation, do you think there's hope? Yes. And I'm so glad you asked that because I think I too, like I'm rocking my baby at night. And it can get kind of dark. I spend a lot of time in the hellhole that is Twitter thinking, oh my gosh, everything is falling apart. Nothing will ever be the same. But there is absolutely hope. And here's where the hope comes from. I've been thinking about this a lot. We need to be raising children for heaven, right? That's the whole point. In all of the context, all of the dark things happening in our country, it can get very discouraging and we should fight it. But at the same time, God brought them into the world at this point in history, and they have a role to play here. And my job as their mother is to prepare them when the question comes to them, who do you say that he is? Who do you say that Jesus Christ is? In whatever form that question comes to them, they are ready to say he is the Son of God and he is my everything. That's my only job. and all the other darkness and stuff that's going on, don't allow it to shake your hope in heaven for your kids. Because you look back through history, you read the stories of the saints, you read the scriptures, and the only thing that matters in the end is what you say to Jesus when you see him at the end. So all of that, yes, I am full of hope, because so many mothers have come before me who have raised saints. Like Thomas More had a mother, right? Great saint, great martyr. St. Peter had a mother. Like somehow these women managed to raise people who never gave up and who did not back down when the going got tough. And there's always, always hope. So don't be discouraged. Join me in raising the next generation of martyrs. I mean, I hope my kids can live a long and happy life and die in their beds with their family around them. But in the end, that's up to God, right? Yeah, you were born for this. Jonah.
Prepare your children for martyrdom, but actually the hope is that we would actually win.
Right. Absolutely.
I'd rather not die.
Right. I totally get that. But at the same time, if the worst happens, it's not the worst.
Right.
Well,
I'm very excited.
I have to say,
the worst would be New Haven pizza.
In the words of one of my favorite philosophers, it's over. We are back. Jeb Bush. We're back.
That would be the word.
Please clap.
Please clap. Please clap.
Please clap.
We're back. Erica, anything else on the Twilight Zone front?
I'm good.
Thank you for that uplift. We needed that one.
Need a little
big time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a couple fun ones as usual. Okay, well, this one's not so fun. It's more annoying. So I saw this from the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic blog. What's the purpose of using gender-neutral medical terms? The purpose is to use terms that are accurate and apply to you no matter your sex or gender identity. Think about pregnancy, which is often viewed as an exclusively female phenomenon. It's easy to use the term pregnant women without a second thought. Now, why do you think people use the term pregnant woman without a second thought?
Because only women
put any thought
pregnant. Oh my gosh. This is why no one trusts the freaking medical establishment, people. This is why we have vaccine hesitancy. This is why we have like record numbers of people not going to the hospital in time to get basic care. It's because you say
this is the Mayo Clinic. Like the Mayo Clinic is probably secularly considered the pinnacle of health. If you're in trouble and you're really rich, you go to the Mayo Clinic.
It's not really the Mayo Clinic anymore. It's like the Miracle Whip Clinic.
I knew you were going to say it.
Now, and I'll be the first to say it. You know, if I was caught up in the weird gender stuff, the last thing I'd want to do as a man is give birth.
Facts.
Why would men even want to encroach on that territory? Pregnancy is painful and the worst, basically. I mean, of course, there's purpose to it, but the last thing I'd think about getting involved in is giving birth. So, Mayo Clinic, you're on my list. Yep. Next one. Bedtime story with my 2-year-old. So I thought this would be a fun share. I was reading to him last night. He very much enjoys bedtime stories. So I'm reading Curious George Votes. And it's a cute story. You know, Curious George, adorable, always getting in trouble. But it's about him voting. A school's voting for their school mascot. And he's handing out stickers and trying to help and whatever. And it's over 2 different animals. Curious George stuffs the ballot.
Look at him.
Middle of it. Look at this. This is like...
He's a Democrat.
I was going to say...
Like 12 times.
Curious George is teaching my child to be a Democrat.
Lib monkey.
Lib monkey. And then also the end of the story is, it's great. It teaches people about you can vote for write-in ballots. Then he becomes the mascot, a monkey.
So...
I don't know about these messages.
Maybe they should change their mascot from a donkey to a monkey, right? Because apparently they stuffed a ballot box and they throw crap all around.
And then truly... the animations that Thomas the Tank Engine are nightmare fuel. I don't know who is in charge of this. Unbelievable. I scrolled through this book every time I need a laugh. Who thought this was a good idea? I don't know. It always kills me.
I think he didn't make it to the bathroom in time. That's what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Like I need a caption contest on that one. And then what was and then my last one, the ambassador to Haiti drinking water. So, okay, that's Thomas.
That's a big week at the UN, huh?
So, big week at the UN, you get an ambassador from Haiti. Now, listen, there's plenty of political implications to this, but on a pure comedy perspective, this is one of the funniest clips I've ever seen. So, this is the representative from Haiti.
Boom.
What?
The whole pitcher.
Respect for its dignity.
No, we gotta run that back. Why would he do this?
Because they don't have clean water in Haiti.
Oh
He's gonna.
my gosh, Josh, relax.
A
Relax
glass
on
ain't
that.
gonna do it. A glass isn't enough.
Truly, that is one of the funniest clips I've ever seen. And then just me in my head, I'm like, that's me at 2 a.m. when I get thirsty, I gotta go. And then
When
a
you're
whole
thirsty,
pitcher.
when you're drunk, hungover, man.
Such a power move, just drinking straight out of the pitcher. Unreal.
I
power
actually
move from Haiti.
maybe Haiti's got something going. Maybe they can turn this franchise around. Walking tall like that. Let's go.
Didn't everyone I was trying to find it and I couldn't. Maybe people in the chat know. There was a moment where someone got made fun of how they drank from a water bottle. Was that Biden or Trump?
No, Rubio.
Oh, it was Rubio. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Someone sent you a note. And he double-handed the little. Yeah.
Well, and it's like he had it and he's talking, he's trying, and he's like, do I stop in the middle of the speech? Stop, drink, puts it down. It was
Can I find
everyone made fun of him. Yeah.
That was the State of the Union address when he did that stupid thing where they.
Yes, someone found it. Okay, I'm sharing it. This is so funny. Wait, let's share. Yes, someone found it. Just love the little water.
Now, would Trump have done that? Trump, if he had to stop, he'd have been like, just done it like a boss, drank it.
Well, did you see?
Too long,
So when he went to the National Association of Black Journalists, he did a very hostile interview there.
Oh,
people were saying that he stole a water bottle from one of the panels. Like he reached across and then closed it and then stole it for himself. So I'm just on politician drinking water watch at this point. It always makes me laugh. I don't know why. So shout out to the Haitian representative for the power move, drinking straight out of the pitcher. Okay, this has been a good week of Loopcast. This has been a fun week.
It's a good week. Ready for the weekend, though. Totally.
Ready for a nice weekend. Stay safe if you're in Florida. If you're listening to this from Florida, stay safe. Batten the hatches. Hurricane proof, hopefully. Okay, so things to help the program. You can like here on YouTube, or you can find us on Rumble, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere now. It's pretty awesome. We stream on X, which is pretty cool. Want to help us out, leave us a like, subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, leave us a review. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we can take those there. Join the Champions Club. Also, we have a sweepstakes going on right now, right, Josh?
Yes, absolutely. And you have a chance to go watch the Chiefs play the Saints in Kansas City. We're giving away a ticket to for you and a friend to go. So you join the Champions Club. You can actually join without paying any money too. I want to make sure that we're clear on that. Lawyers get at me if I don't say that. But find out about that information at CatholicVote.org. Join the Champions Club, man. Make it happen.
Where it's happening. It'll be a fun Monday night game. You'll be right next to Taylor Swift. Her box.
No.
So that's of interest to you. Join the Champions Club. But of course, pray for us. Pray for our country. St. Thomas More, Our Lady of Guadalupe, St. Fidelis. Pray for us. It's a great episode.